It is the Big Brothers and Big Sisters month of giving here at CHGO and All City. What up, CHGO Bulls? Big Dave with you. We got the CEO of Big Brothers and Big Sisters of Metropolitan Chicago, Jeremy Foster, will be hanging out with us. He's got hot Bulls takes. I'm just playing. But also, the biggest unknown question for the Chicago Bulls. We'll dive into that. And players box, anybody? U.S. Open? Bulls players? We're going to get into that too. Come on back after the slap. CHGO Bulls is now in your face and in your ear holes and on your airwaves. What up, y'all? Big Dave with CHGO Bulls. Bam. This man right here is Will the Go Gottlieb. On the ones and twos per usual is the queen of the controls, as she's called by my man Matt Peck. That is Katie Duffy. Welcome into this wonderful show, y'all. We got a lot we're going to get into. But first and foremost, we're going to deal with something really awesome because, as I said at the beginning, it is the Big Brothers and Big Sisters month of giving here at CHGO. Guess what, ladies and gentlemen? If you're listening to the show right now, just please go ahead, pull out your phone, and go to bbbs.org/allcity. That's bbbs.org/allcity to go ahead and pledge your support. Either sign up to be a big brother or big sister of America or to donate. There's a lot of ways you can go ahead and contribute to help the city of Chicago and nationwide, the youth that is within it. And to speak more on it, this handsome gentleman down here is the CEO and the president of the Big Brothers and Big Sisters Association of Metropolitan Chicago. Ladies and gentlemen, I was on. That is Jeremy Foster.
Thank you, Big Dave. Thank you very much. Just for those of you that don't know, too, and I listened to Big Dave, what a golden, buttery voice, too, back there.
That's so true.
Singing voice, that's just money.
I appreciate that.
Yeah. I get to sit next to it every day, and it still blows my mind.
Unbelievable, man.
It's always a true joy.
I appreciate that. I'm here for all of this, yes. First of all. Thank you. But I do want to talk about you, though, and what you do. When I read up about you, it said you've been involved with the Big Brothers and Big Sisters for almost 20 years.
Yes, sir.
And I'm just curious as to what is it about that? First of all, congratulations.
Thank you.
But what is it about that just makes you want to stay, and what the fulfillment that you get from doing the job that you do?
Yeah, first, thank you for having me and giving us this platform to talk about the mission. And that's where I want to start. I mean, you asked the why, 18 years. I get to see the best in humanity is the best way I can really describe that. And carrying people, signing up to be in a young person's life. They're not related to them. They don't know them, but they're just doing it because they're good human beings. And that's the kind of stuff that keeps you going. And then you get to see how amazing it is for the young person. You see these matches together 1 year, 2 year, 10 years. You get to know them. You get to know their families. Just incredible human stories. And I get to do that. And I've got to do that for, like you said, nearly 20 years. It's amazing.
Yeah, can you tell us more about, like, maybe the most, like, fulfilling parts of it? You mentioned just, like, the relationships, but I'm sure, like, over the course of your tenure there's just been, like, some really incredible stories and successes and relationships that have come of it.
Yeah, I love the littles aspect. I love the bigs aspect. But for me, being a parent myself and a grandparent, what's most fulfilling is getting to know the parent, the guardians, the caretakers, mostly led by strong women who want nothing but the best for their young people. And they're working hard every day. And then to sit down and talk to them, and just the level of trust that a parent gives to Big Brothers, Big Sisters, right? Because the intimate nature of what we do, that's the most fulfilling, just to hear what it means to that parent to have big brothers, big sisters, but they're bigs in their lives. That's what's most fulfilling to me, because that's, we're here for the child all the time, every day. But what it does for the family and that parent, it's pretty remarkable. So shout out to our parents too. It's an incredible show of trust. We hear some of the toughest stories you could hear. But then they're so thankful and appreciative of this partnership we built together. So it's really about the parents for me.
Yeah, and you mentioned yourself as a father and a grandfather as well. What's something that kind of keeps you going with that, knowing you have your children as well, your grandkids, but also being so giving with your heart and your time, with the littles, what I'm saying, and with the parents also. What is it about that, sir, that just kind of keeps your heart going?
Yeah, it works. So that's what attracted me to the mission, 18 plus years ago, was it works. I've seen it in action, and in my own life, I've two awesome parents, but others poured into me. It's why I'm sitting in this seat today. So I've got to live the power of somebody speaking that into you. And then I've grown and seen it time and time again, how transformational it is. And I speak to it. My wife is going on 6 years with her little sister.
Wow.
We have our own children or grandchild, but she's taken the time. And so a lot of it, I've seen that too. And it's just deepened, my love and my passion for this mission, and just getting to know the people, thousands of people over 18 years. I mean, it's thousands of people. Yeah. And just hearing the stories of their why and coming to it, that's the kind of stuff. And like I said, it works. I just heard, we just had an alumni little out, and he and his big, into adulthood together. They're telling their stories. And now he's telling his story that he's a big now. Wow. And how that not only transformed his life, but he's paying that back. And we talked earlier, just the ripple effect, it changes generations. So for me, it works. And so I just want to match as many kids in Chicagoland as possible.
Yeah, I love that. And obviously over the last few months here, we've been in a partnership, CHGO and Big Brothers Big Sisters of Chicago. This was part of our Spirit Week, which we had a couple of months ago now, doing some promotion of our partnership. There was the flag football event a couple of weeks ago. And right now in our YouTube, just below the chat, I'm looking at it right now, you can press to donate to Big Brothers Big Sisters this month. But I was hoping you could just share a little bit about the partnership with CHGO and what you guys are kind of hoping to gain out of this, what kind of support we can help provide you, and why maybe that partnership was something that you wanted to do in the first place.
Yeah, first, we need two things at Big Brothers Big Sisters. We need human capital and we need philanthropic capital, and that's what this partnership is doing.
We had that written down too.
Right, it's exactly what it is. And so thank you to those online, those that have been giving. That's the fuel, and that's the fuel helps us recruit, screen, train, make matches, support matches. But then the flip side of it with All City too is we need these types of platforms. We need to inspire as many people as possible to join us in this life-changing work, and just exposure, especially into male-centric audiences. Mm-hmm. Because most of the young people on our wait list are boys. We need help in that area. And these types of partnerships, again, give us that platform and that audience that, frankly, we can't get on our own. And so we're super excited, and doing it through sport. There's so much parallel through sport and mentoring. Mm-hmm. It's natural. A lot of our bigs and littles participate in sport and play. They go to the games. Our local sports teams are great, and our season ticket holders are great supporting that. So it just makes sense on many levels.
Yeah, I like that. And I'm glad you said that philanthropic capital and human capital, because that was definitely a question I wanted to ask you about. But the other part of the question I wanted to ask you was, when I was watching you in an interview, was talking about the importance of a black person or a person of color to be involved, in something like this. Can you speak on that a little bit and expound just on that necessary, not a word, but necessariness of a person of my skin complexion, to be involved with something like this?
Yeah, you have to see success in examples within your own community. That doesn't minimize others who, if you're matched with a child and your background, right, and race and ethnicity doesn't match up, doesn't mean you can't have an impact. In fact, we know it does, because that is the majority, right? However, representation matters, right? And it matters in our communities of color, especially our African-American community, because we have just a larger need there. That's just the reality of it. And most of our boys on our wait list are boys and boys of color. And I think there's an opportunity there for us to show young people that I can be a part of truly anything. And that's where the representation comes in. When you see somebody within your own community, that's why it matters, right? And so we're trying to be far more intentional about that. I love the question, by the way. Thank you for lifting that up.
Absolutely.
Yeah, we need as many people to join us in this, and we do need men of color to partner with us in this unbelievable mission.
Yeah, I think that's a really interesting distinction. And I'm curious, like, can you share, just like, we have a bunch of people watching, a bunch of people that will watch back this show. What does it mean to actually be a big brother or big sister? Like, how can people get involved, and what does that actually entail?
Yeah, so it is a commitment, right? I'm going to be very transparent about it. It is a commitment, but it should be. Think of any meaningful relationship in your life. Wasn't it a commitment? Right? And it's worth the effort. That's the point, but it's worth it. This is a child. These are young people. And it's natural. It's what we do and should do for each other. So, yeah, it is a commitment, but what I know when people become bigs, they're like, yeah, it really wasn't that much time. I was hesitant, but once I've been in it and I'm hanging out with my little, it doesn't feel like a time commitment because you're having a lot of fun. You're having those meaningful conversations. And, I hear it all the time from bigs, like, I got my first text from my little. I didn't even they text me out of the blue. It was like golden, like, yes, that type of thing there. But it is a commitment, but it's well worth it. We ask for, a year commitment. And within that, the cadence is, can you see your little a couple times a month? Doing things you enjoy, your little enjoys. And it's the simple things like, you know what? I'm going to run to the grocery store. I'm going to go pick up my little. We're just going to chill. We're going to listen to music. We're going to talk. That's what I mean. It fits within your existing schedule. Mm-hmm. So it's not like it's extra time, but it is a commitment, if that makes sense.
No, it makes all the sense in the world. And like you said, it's nothing that's outside of your life. You're trying to bring a child into the life of the big, correct? In
addition to, right? And I will just tell you time again, and I speak on behalf of the bigs of 18 years of hearing this, is the meaning that it adds to your life, right? It's incredible. You just listen to these stories of the impact. And I was on earlier on the Bears segment, and Carm, signing up to be a big brother himself, and we were just talking. He's like, "Oh, I'm gonna get way more out of it than my little," which that's how bigs feel. But you are. It's gonna impact yourself. That is by design because we're supposed to do this. In my opinion, we're supposed to take care of each other, and we just formalize the process to do that at Big Brothers Big Sisters.
Yeah, and it's not something you said. It has to be you want it to be a couple of times a month, but it's no real commitment of the time outside of that couple of times a month. Like if you want to do it more than that, you absolutely can.
And we have everything in between. And the way it happens, this is what I learned through my wife's relationship is, early on you're seeing your little, and some do. They'll see them, it's the 2 times, or when you're building that maybe a little bit more, but it's up to each match. But then once you're together over that series of 1 year plus, you kind of find your way. It's like any relationship. You find your groove. Yes. Then it's as much time and as little time as your relationship, right, desires at that point in time. And so you're spot on.
Yeah.
It'll have a life cycle of its own eventually.
All right. Well, we talked about the human capital, but the last part, the philanthropic capital of it, let the people know how they can be involved if they don't have that time, to give, but maybe they do want to donate and give that way.
Yeah. Listen, we're a $7+ million organization, operation, right? Yes, that doesn't happen over like you got to grind for this.
Yes, sir. Yes,
and we have 60+ people that join me in this work and doing this all throughout Chicagoland. And so, that takes the resources. And what I say to you though is 100% of it goes back into what I'd said before, creating and supporting these life-changing relationships. You give, we match a child. And we've been able to do that, right? We're averaging about 2 children a day off our wait list. That's the whole point is we need to do more though. And that's what the philanthropic capital fuels us being able to do more.
I love that, man. And if you're listening, like I said, if you're listening or you're watching, you can go to bbbs.org/all-city, get more information on how to sign up and to donate. Jeremy, it's amazing what you all do, man.
Absolutely.
More power to you, man. God bless y'all for what y'all do, bro. And we really appreciate you coming on the show and spending some time with us, man.
Yeah, man. The fueling is mutual. Thank you for being ambassadors, right? You're doing this work with me by being ambassadors and giving us a chance to be here. Thank you. And go Bulls.
Go Bulls. Yes, sir. We come back. We got more Bulls talk. We're going to get Jeremy's hot takes off here. How about that? We'll be back with y'all. CHGO Bulls.
Whatever the sport, the app to bet is Circa Sports Illinois. Circa Sports, it is sports betting the way it should be. Circa Sports Illinois has those high betting limits, those low cap holds, and exceptional customer service with no AI chatbots whatsoever. Shout out to you, Matt Peck, sitting on the dock somewhere in Michigan. You can bet on all your favorite teams in every game, every season. NFL season starting this weekend. And you know we're going to be placing some props, hitting on spreads, futures, maybe a Bears future for the Super Bowl. It's possible. And, of course, in-game live lines when the Bears don't score at all in the first quarter, and then you have them coming back and winning. Circa Sports has it all. You can fund and bet like a pro from anywhere, anytime in Illinois. Download your new bookie today at circasports.com. Must be 21 or older. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER.
It's still hot. Why? It's September. You know why? Because you're in Chicago. And so since it's hot and it's in Chicago, you're going to need Four Seasons, heating, air conditioning, plumbing, and electric to get that AC checked out. They've been serving Chicagoland for over 50 years. Right now is the time to get your air conditioning checked out, and Four Seasons experts are ready to help you with AC installation, maintenance, and repair. You can save up to $4,000 on new comfort systems with Four Seasons, new AC units from $39 a month, and AC furnace combos for $57 a month. They are your trusted local experts. They are Four Seasons Heating, Air Conditioning, Plumbing, and Electric. Visit fourseasonsheatingcooling.com for all their special offers and money-saving coupons. That's Four Seasons Heating, Cooling.com. Because for all the right reasons, go. Pass it back. Call 866 Four Seasons. Jeremy said my voice was butter smooth, baby. It's be smooth out here. CHGO Bulls, Big Dave, the passer, the Go Gottlieb, the producer, Katie, rolling along with us, y'all. Make sure you're hitting that like button. Make sure you're donating to the big brothers and big sisters of America, whether it's your time or whether it's your money. You can definitely donate to a wonderful, 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 absolutely wonderful cause. Let's talk some Bulls, man. Let's get into the Chicago Bulls. So, we had Doug Tonis, shout out to him on the show.
The great one,
the pod father.
How you doing, brother?
I had a question I wanted to ask you all, and it was basically about the biggest unknown or the biggest question for the Chicago Bulls this season, but as far as a player is concerned. So basically, there are a lot of unknowns for the Chicago Bulls when it comes to the players on the team. You can run down the roster, and all of them are pretty much unknowns. Even if you want to go to guys like Trey Jones, you know, what's he going to look like coming back off the injury? Is Julian Phillips going to ascend a little bit more? You know, is Yuki going to be the starting point guard of the team? Like, there's a lot of questions, a lot of unknowns for the Bulls. So we're going to dive into those, man, because we put a poll up on CHGO Bulls on our Twitter page for the people to go ahead and vote. And there it is right there. Thank you, Katie. What do you think is the biggest question / unknown for the Bulls going into next season? You see there's Giddey continuing what he did in the second half. There's Coby becoming an all-star. There's Matas's year 2 growth, or you can select other. So I figured let's dive into those right there. Let's start at the tippy top, the very first one, which is Josh Giddey, continuing his second half explosion of what he did. Let's take a look at Josh Giddey and his numbers of what he did pre-All-Star game and post-All-Star game. There you see it, 12 points, 7 rebounds, 6 assists, 44% from the field in 28 minutes, which honestly isn't terrible. That's not bad. But post-All-Star game, Josh Giddey, damn. 21 points, 10 rebounds, 9 assists, shooting 50% from the field. He was 50, 45, 80, and he did that in 19 games. Absolutely phenomenal second half of the season for Josh Giddey, an unexpected second half of the season from Josh Giddey, not just from us, but from Bulls fans and from the NBA in general. I just saw on NBA.com when they were listing their top 50 plays, for the year, Josh Giddey came in second with the half-court heave against the Los Angeles
Top plays?
Lakers.
Top plays or top players?
Top plays.
Okay.
Top plays,
Just making sure.
sir. Plays.
Just making sure.
Yes, sir. But that play came in at number 2, which was absolutely phenomenal, man. What a phenomenal, incredible shot. One of the greatest in Bulls history. But Josh Giddey balled out. Now we already know he's in this contract negotiation with the Chicago Bulls. It is day 3,406 of that contract negotiation. Katie has confirmed, yes, it is. So we don't know when it's going to end, but it's going to have to at some point in time. They don't have a choice. They're going to have to come to a decision about Josh Giddey. But I'll ask you this question, though, Goat. Is Giddey's growth the biggest unknown that could push the Bulls to postseason play?
I voted for Matas on this one, but I actually want to rescind that and vote for Giddey because
okay.
I do think that he is kind of like, not that he's like the franchise, but I do think in some ways he is the most important player on the team. And the reason I say that is because of his style of play. Like, he needs to have the ball in his hands in order for him to be successful and for the team to be successful. And we've seen what that looks like on both sides. We saw, in the splits that Katie just showed in the graphic, like where he, put up some decent numbers and was a solid player.
Sure.
But like there were times when he was, getting benched in the fourth quarter, or there were times when like he was not the primary offensive initiator and that went to Zach, or that went to Vooch, or that went to Coby. And it just didn't really allow him to be his best self. And then we saw the other end of that spectrum where he had the ball in his hands constantly. He was much higher in terms of usage, and he was shooting the lights out, had probably the hottest shooting stretch of his entire life.
Yes.
Where not only did he look really good, but the Bulls were looking really good. They were winning games, and obviously that came to halt in the play-in. But like, you can't deny that they had some real positive momentum in the final half of that season, in large part due to his play and him having the ball. And not to take away anything from the growth that we saw from Matas or from Coby or any of these guys, but like Giddey was really spearheading a lot of things. And I do think it goes a little bit under the radar for just how good Coby was in those moments too. And not because Coby shot the ball really well, but like because the two of them were playing well together. I do think that goes a little bit under the radar. But the reason I feel like I should have selected Giddey for this is just because if the Bulls are going to be a playoff team or beyond, their best player needs to be able to lead them to that. And whether you think Giddey is the best player on the team or not, he is the one that is driving the offense. He is the one that is generating a lot of the Bulls' offensive creation. And so in order to have an offense that is good and successful, the best player needs to be good and successful. Yeah. And so I do think in a lot of ways, like, it does have to be like the Bulls are going to go as far as Giddey takes them. And so I think in that way, him taking, not just like proving that what we saw was real, and I'm not talking about the 47% three-point shooting, but just that style of play, that sort of production, and that sort of success that the team had around him, that needs to be real. And frankly, it needs to be a stepping stone to another level for the Bulls to be really good. And so when you ask it that way of like, what needs to happen in order for the Bulls to be good, what's the biggest question? Like, it has to be, is their best player good enough to lead them there? And that is the big question. I think for me, and I've always felt this way about team building, like nothing else matters until you have the guy. And the Bulls, whether they pay him like it or not, are putting Giddey in the position to be the guy. And so he has to be the guy.
Yeah, very true. For me, it's not about him being the best player. It's about him being the most important. And he is absolutely, in my opinion, the most important player. I can argue Coby. I can argue even Matas, you know what I'm saying, as far as best players and stuff like that. But the most important is Josh Giddey. One, for what they gave up to get him, and two, the entire offense is built around Josh Giddey.
It really is. I mean,
and what he does.
The whole team, like
Yes.
they have built around Giddey. And so in that way, I feel like it can't be anybody else.
Yeah, it has to be him. So, even if you're looking at the success of the other guys, and we're going to get into them for sure, but the success of Coby White and the success of Matas Buzelis, along with Josh Giddey, were all second half things. Like, Coby was consistent, of course, doing his thing, but the accolades and all his things came in the second half of the year. Matas's came when he became a starter, more so in the second half of the year. I believe he played 31 games as a starter, but most of that success was in that second half. And that was when Josh Giddey was at his best. That's when Josh Giddey was doing Josh Giddey stuff. That's when they went 17-10. That's when you have that game against the Lakers. That's when they had that game winner against the Miami Heat, and Trey Jones and all those guys were doing their thing. But it starts and it ends with Josh Giddey. He runs this offense. It is built around him. I've always talked about Billy Donovan's love for guards, and his love for point guards starts with giving them the ball and giving them creative freedom. Like, there's structure within it for sure, but they have some creative freedom to do what they want out there on the floor. And we watched Giddey impact the game, Will, in so many ways outside of scoring, especially with his superpower, as I like to call it, which is rebounding, with him going and getting those offensive rebounds and defensive rebounds and starting to break, kicking out the outlet and doing things like that. Now, him averaging, 20, 10, and 9, I don't know. That would be, listen, if he continues that, we're talking about an all-star. Seriously. That's what we're talking about right here for Josh Giddey. If he's putting up those numbers with the 50, 45, and 80, bro, that's an all-star right there that the Bulls have, and you're in really good position. But we just don't know yet, and that's why it's such an unknown. We got to know if this is real, what we are looking at, and if it's not just that guy that we saw in that first half of the year. So I understand people when they are just skeptical about it. You have every right to be skeptical, which is why the Bulls are doing what they're doing as far as the contract negotiations. It's a lot of skepticism going on, and they have every right to have that. But I expect Josh Giddey to be better. I expect him to have some growth. One, because his work ethic is crazy. Like, that dude works at his game constantly and all the time. And two, he's going to have ample amounts of opportunity and time to figure it out on the floor, because the offense is his, man. Like, the shots may go to Coby, shots may go to Matas, but they'll be coming from a pass from Josh Giddey, from setting up the offense. So the offense, it belongs to him.
And I think that's actually the part where, whether we've explicitly stated it or not, that is the part where it's, to me, the most concerning, or the most that's where the biggest question is. Katie, can you throw that graphic up again, just the stats, the splits from the first half to the second half? Is like, you look at this and it's like, okay, you need him to be better. How can you be better than this? 21, 11, 9 on 50% shooting. He shot 47% on threes. He had a true shooting above 60. Like, it's hard to be better than that. And in fact, like, that might be the best 19-game stretch of his entire career, because of how incredible those numbers are. And I'm not saying he can't be a better defender or he can't be more consistent as a shooter, but like, when you're talking about a hot streak, like, you can't bank on the guy's hottest of hot streaks to be who he is from here on out, especially when you only have a 19-game sample of that compared to a 51-game sample of him looking not like that.
Yes.
And you even look at, sorry, I want to leave the thing up for a second, Katie, because I wanted to compare his pre-All-Star numbers to his career numbers.
Okay.
So 12 points, 7 rebounds, 6.5 assists, 44% field goal. It's actually worse than his career averages. 14 points, 7.5 rebounds, 6.1 assists, 46% shooting. So pretty, a little bit worse scoring, but pretty much in line. So we have 280 game sample of his career numbers. The 51 that we saw last year is more in line with who Josh Giddey has been for his entire 4-year career. Now, he's a young player. He's only 22 years old.
Sure.
And he has shown flashes, not just last year, but in previous years, where he's done a lot better than that, and he's helped bring those averages up. But I think the idea that, like, this is who he is now and this is who he needs to be, and can he take a step beyond that? To me, that's not the question. It's, can you even get close to that kind of production? Because if not, then what are we doing here? It's like, where do we go from here? If you're investing, and it's not just Giddey, it's like Coby is like that too. Matas needs to be that too. It's like, all these guys, they have to get better, not just like meet the numbers that they put up last year. Because last year, 17 and 13 is great. They lost in the play-in. Like, if you want to be a playoff team, you got to get to the playoffs. And so it's not just about replicating those numbers. It's about being better. And you're asking people to be better than the best versions of themselves through their 4-7-year careers. In Coby's case, 7 years. That's a really tall task. And so that's where I think people are right to be not like skeptical. And I think there has been too much like vitriol towards Giddey of like, he's, not going to be this, so there's no point, and the Bulls are going to be. It's more like, how do you do that? It's not nothing critical to him or about him. It's like, can he replicate that? And I think the odds of that are just low, given how outlier how much of an outlier those numbers were.
We got more to talk about and more to get into, y'all, after this break. Make sure you got your comments coming and make sure you're hitting the like button or Katie's going to come after you. Here's some ads for you, CHGO Bulls.
Bow. Hey, coaches, listen up. If you are looking for more athletes to train, Eye on the Ball is where you need to be. It is simple. You create a profile, upload your background check, and boom, you're in. For just $50 a month or $500 for the whole year, athletes of all ages and all sports can find you directly. It is a database for you if you're a basketball coach, for example, and you want some students or players to coach up.
Okay.
You create a profile, and they're able to find you on this database, or vice versa. You can do it where you are an athlete looking for a coach, and you create a profile, and you can sign up and find a coach to help you train.
Nice.
And the best part is Eye on the Ball doesn't mess with your schedule, your payments, or your business. You are in full control.
I dig it.
They just connect you with athletes who are already looking for a coach like you. So if you're ready to grow your coaching business and reach more athletes, go check it out right now. eyeontheball.net. That's eyeontheball.net. Don't wait. The athletes are already there waiting to find you.
Very smooth. This ad right here is Baby Joey approved, ladies and gentlemen. He's getting ready for the football season. All right? So he might be out in Vegas doing stuff. When he's out in Vegas, he's going to have them proper shades on. And the only place you're going to do that and look cool and save your money is with Shady Rays, ladies and gentlemen, because that is how they roll. They are seriously good-looking sunglasses, premium polarized shades that are durable and not ridiculously expensive. And here's the awesome part. They got the lost and broken replacements plan. Let's say you got some glasses on and you Will to Go Gottlieb out there and you take a walk and trip and the glasses fall off your face. The coif is still intact, but the glasses go down. Well, guess what? You can put them right back into an envelope, send them right back into Shady Rays. As long as he does them in 30 days, he'll get those glasses right back on his face. And we've teamed with Shady Rays to bring you an exclusive offer. Head to ShadyRays.com, use the code CHGO for 35% off those premium polarized shades and try it for yourself. The shades that are rated 5 stars over 300,000 people, because it's Shady Rays, y'all, where the Rays are oh so shady. CHGO Bulls in your face, back on your airwaves, y'all. Big Dave, Will to Go Gottlieb, Katie on production. Hit the like button and make sure you're continuing to drop your comments, because we're going to read some of them, just like we're going to do right now. From our guy, Rob, had a comment for you. Go right there.
Can we read Andrew's first?
Actually? Oh, you wanted Andrews?
I just wanted to shout that out because it's hilarious.
If you want to be a playoff team, you got to make it to the playoff. That's why he's the GOAT. Simple math, ladies and gentlemen. That's the strong suit. Yes, exactly. Correct. I'll put your shades on.
No comment of the comment. I just wanted to comment on that comment.
That's how he rolls, man.
But I thought Paul brought up a good one.
Paul's comment, which comment there?
What Goat is trying to say is that core group is more important than just Giddey. And that, I think, is the crux of the debate that people have about Giddey, which is that, is he somebody that you can have as part of a core? And, like, I think this is kind of what I was saying earlier. I do think it's underrated how well some of the other guys played while Giddey was the one with the usage, with the responsibility initiating the offense. And so I don't think that it's impossible for that to be the case. But, I mean, think about it. If, like, you're trying to make Giddey Luka, like, what does Luka need to be able to do? Luka scores 30 points a night, if not more, and he gets 10 assists. Like, I think the question is, like, can Giddey put enough pressure on teams as a scorer to make use of the passing? Because if you're just defending him for the pass, then it's not as effective. And so I do think that he can be a part of a core. I just think his scoring needs to be at such a high level that, frankly, we have not seen yet. For him to be able to, like, be truly that sort of heliocentric lead initiator that a lot of teams are building around. And that's kind of the question is, like, if he cannot be that good, now you have to scale him down into more of a secondary role. And if he's in a secondary role and he's not shooting at a really high level, teams aren't going to guard him. And now you're playing 5-on-4. And that's a tough place to live. And on defense too, because it's not like he's, making up for it on the other end. So I just think, like, that's the core of the question is, like, can he be good enough? And that's what we're talking about is, like, he needs to be good enough. And that's why, to me, it really does start and end with Giddey. Like, maybe Matas turns into a better player. Maybe Coby takes another step forward and becomes a better player. That would be great. The Bulls need a better best player. But at the end of the day, what does that do to Giddey? Yeah. It probably marginalizes him and therefore hurts the team more than if it were Giddey the one to make that next step. And so in a lot of ways, it is kind of up to Giddey to be the best player. And that's just a tough step to take, as we talked about.
Huge tough step to take. You're right about that, sir. So contract signing hasn't happened yet.
That's true.
Let's get a prediction from you, Go. What
Okay, yeah, we wanted to do
that this is going to happen. And make sure you all can drop this in the comments as well of when you think the Josh Giddey contract will be signed with the Chicago Bulls. Katie?
And I'm keeping receipts. I'm starring all these comments. I'm going to take a screenshot, and whoever's right wins pride. That's it.
Oh,
wins a prize.
Wins a prize.
No, I said pride with a D.
Oh,
Wins pride.
I heard a Z. I heard a Z
Pride
in there.
Yeah.
I heard a Z. Okay.
Okay, so I do think it gets done this month. I'm not reporting anything. I just think, like, I'm guessing based on the tea leaves and the timeline, which is that it will be October 1st is like when is the last day.
Okay.
I'm guessing media day will be the 29th.
Okay.
And I'm guessing it's done before media day. So I'll go ahead and say Thursday the 25th is when it gets done of September.
You said media day is the 29th.
I don't know that for sure. I'm just guessing based on the fact that in previous years it's been the last Monday of the month.
I'll say whatever day is media day, it will get done that morning.
That morning.
That's what I say.
Okay.
I say it will get done that morning. So AK and Giddey can walk on out, and have their press conference and, pat each other on the back, and say, hey, we're getting ready, for the season. And
it's true.
Giddey will have the hair right and everything will be straight. And yeah, I think it will happen on media day, on the day of media, like before, it kicks off, like that morning, like 8 a.m. I think it'll go down.
That would be thrilling.
Book it.
Although it'd be a lot more work for us. Because we have to do a reaction show and then media day and then a media day show. And
but hopefully
right off
we're
of
there,
all of it.
for the coverage. And that would be really cool if that occurs. Katie?
Yeah, my vibes are that it's like now, like this week.
This week?
This week.
Put a date on it.
Now, just to be clear, I have said this before and it didn't come true because I thought it was going to happen when we were in Vegas and obviously it didn't. But I just have a feeling, like I brought my laptop with me to the suburbs yesterday when I went because I was like, I'm going to need it. Like we're going to have to do an emergency. I just had a feeling. So I think by Friday, by September 5th, like it's going to happen. That's just my vibe right now.
Friday,
September 5th. Yeah. That's so soon.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Hey, look, I hope you're right. I'm ready for it. I'm ready for this to happen and be done so we can stop speculating on when it's going to happen and be done. I do think it will get done. And I think, I don't know what the deal will end up being, but I can't see a world where he takes qualifying offer because I think he wants to, my guess, my speculation is that he's in a position where he can guarantee himself long-term money. It may not be as much as he wanted, but like that's an opportunity that you might not get again in the future. And so I think it's going to be a longer-term deal, whether it's 3 or 4 or 5 years. I'm not sure. And I don't think it's going to be a holdout situation because I don't think that benefits him at the end of the day.
Yeah.
Because like if the Bulls play well without him, then why would they give him any money? So
true. Indeed.
I think I do think it gets done. I do think it will be a multi-year deal. I don't know what it will end up being, but I think it will be the 25th of September.
Yeah. Rob said whenever he feels like vacation is over. Oh, man. Unfortunately, Nick P, I was about to say deal for Nick P, but Katie says no on that one. But I was about to be like, what? What if I just don't? What if they have the conversation and I just don't say anything? How about we get $250 for that? Can you do that one? Hook that up, Nick. I like that. Paul agrees with me. Media day sounds right. It just sounds correct. Like, that would be the one, man.
It's a spicy
and
take.
he would float out. Both of them were going to be wearing white and stuff. He'll have his white Bulls jersey on, AK and all white. Like, it's going to be a thing, it's going to be a thing, man. And hopefully we'll be there to watch it. Let's continue on, man. Let's move on to another player. One Alec Coby White. In the final year of his contract this season, he had an absolutely outstanding season for the Chicago Bulls, and especially in the second half. Let's take a look at what the young man achieved this season for the Chicago Bulls. As you can see there, career highs in points, field goal percentage, free throw percentage, three-point attempts, and steals. Was back-to-back Eastern Conference Player of the Week winner, and he won Eastern Conference Player of the Month in March. So, I mean, Coby White has always, at least how I have seen it, has always been more of a second-half guy. throughout his career with the Chicago Bulls. Sometimes he'll be hot and cold in that first half, but then he'll usually get cooking in that second half of the season. What I saw this season, though, from him, I mean, he wasn't cooking. He was barbecuing. He was fricasseeding. He was frying, laying to the side. Like, he was doing it all. And it was incredible to sit there and watch him, come to that kind of ascension. And it's good when you can talk about a Chicago Bulls player and it's not just you talking about the Chicago Bulls player. It's the league actually taking notice of that Bulls player and saying, yeah, you're right. You're not insane. This dude balled the heck out. And here's your reward for it, sir. Here's the Eastern Conference Player of the Month. Hasn't happened since DeMar DeRozan. So, and any back-to-back Eastern Conference Players of the Week, for me, it's like up there with that same accomplishment as winning it for the month. Because, man, dude, you know how really good you got to be to win it back-to-back like that? Like, he was really having that kind of time in the month of March, man, and I'm just really proud of him. So, with all those things said, though, and all that taking into consideration, I'll put the tough question on you, GOAT, sir. Is Coby White becoming an all-star the most important unknown for the Bulls this season?
I don't think so. I mean, I think it's Giddey. I think that whole unknown with his contract and what he ends up becoming is just like number one. But obviously Coby is like a foundational piece for this team. And I think the question is like whether he is long-term or whether he is short-term. And so that contract situation, I think we've been talking about it. Not a lot of other people have, just because the Giddey stuff is chronologically coming up first. Yeah. But I think like that decision is going to be a really important one, because you look at some of these shooting guards around the league and the way that they're getting paid. It's a really interesting marketplace for them. It's a weird environment. So you have Devin Booker signing a massive 5-year, or I don't remember exactly how many years, what the exact details of the contract, but he is making $55 million next season. That is a lot of money. Mm-hmm. You have Paul George making 52.8. You have Donovan Mitchell making 50. You have Anthony Edwards making 49. Zach LaVine, the 5th highest paid shooting guard in the league, at $43 million. The list goes on a little bit. Desmond Bane is making 39.4. Jalen Green at 35. Okay. CJ McCollum and Jordan Poole at 32. Suggs at 30. Hero at 30. A couple more guys, and then it kind of falls off. But the reason I bring all this up is because the Bulls have to understand not only how good and like productive Coby is and valuable he is to their team, but also what that means in the greater context of the salary cap and like how some of these types of players are being viewed. So I bring that up. We know that Zach LaVine was on the trade block for 2.5 years before the Bulls were able to move him. And the best they could do was they got shorter term money with Collins, Herter, and Trey Jones, 2 of them extending beyond the year where they traded him, but all they could get really was their pick back. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. We saw CJ McCollum get traded for Jordan Poole, who was another player. Basically, they just got swapped. And Jordan Poole was a salary dump onto the Wizards after leaving the Golden State Warriors. Jalen Green was in the Kevin Durant trade as a featured piece, but he basically signed a shorter term 3-year deal at around $35 million per because he wasn't able to get the type of contract that he wanted on a long-term basis. Desmond Bane is probably the one example of a star or a sub all-star level shooting guard that we saw this offseason get moved for positive value. And obviously it was a huge price to pay if you are Orlando. But he was a perfect fit. Yes. He fits their timeline. He helps them address a really important need. And frankly, I think he's just a really good player. But even still, if that were to happen today, I don't think the price would be as high because of what we've seen with these other shooting guards. And they're just not being a market. Anthony Simons was traded for Drew Holiday, who was considered negative salary. Yes. And now the Celtics are trying to trade him. They can't because nobody wants him. And he's a $25 million expiring contract, and he's a young player. Norman Powell got traded to the Heat from the Clippers in a 3-team deal. And it was like Kevin Love and Kyle Anderson. Yeah. That was the price they got for him. And so I just think that these types of players, these primarily offensive-oriented shooting guards who are not primary passers, and I think Coby falls into that category, but I think he's obviously towards the high end of it. those players are just not seen as premium in this current environment. And so whether it's a $25 million contract or a $30 or a $40 million contract, like the Bulls just have to be really careful about what they pay him. And again, I'm not saying he's not worth that in a vacuum, but it's strictly talking about the landscape that we're in, this cap environment. Those guys are not, you're not able to move them for positive value. And you cannot sign guys, you cannot lock yourself into long-term contracts that are not positive value around the rest of the league, because then you have no flexibility. You can't trade them. And I think the Bulls probably know that to a certain extent, which is, what happens when you sign Zach LaVine to the max deal and then you can't trade him for 2.5 years, who's obviously an incredibly talented player. But it's just that those types of players are not seen as premium assets. You either have to be really good 3-and-D athlete or like elite offensive initiator to really warrant that kind of money. And so I think that's why the Knicks were willing to give OG Anunoby a max contract, because he's one of the best defensive players in the league and an elite three-point shooter. Coby is not that. He's a very talented scorer. And I think in a vacuum or in the 1990s, he would have been a max player. But just in this marketplace, that is a really tough consideration. And so I wonder, if he's able to be player of the month again a couple times next year, you're looking at probably a max player. You're looking at somebody who you feel comfortable paying like that. But if not, are you just locking yourself into one of these guys that you're going to eventually have to dump? And that you just can't. They just spent 3 years getting themselves out of handcuffs that they couldn't get out of, that they wasted all this time. You can't lock yourself into that again. And so you're just at a point where you have to sign him to a really team-friendly deal, or you got to move him. But I just think you just have to be careful with that.
Very well said.
It's a long rant. Sorry.
No, that's super well said. And the last part of what you said about the contract and its growth is the reason why, for me, it's the most important. I feel like Coby White becoming an all-star is the most important unknown for the Bulls. I believe Giddey is your most important player, without a doubt, because the offense, like I said, kind of runs through him and flows through him, without a doubt. Somebody has to score 30. Somebody's going to have to take over a basketball game. The Bulls don't have a Coby White on their team. They don't really have a guy that can really create their own shot and is feared, has some kind of fear around the league. When you win these awards and you get this kind of recognition, it comes with respect and it comes with a little teeny tiny bit of fear. You know what I mean? And Coby White is building that around the league. If you have a guy who has the capacity to get you 40 points in a basketball game on his own, whether it's coming off the dribble or whether it's coming and he's creating his own shot, however he's doing it, and is a clutch player. Coby White is a fourth quarter player on top of all of that, and is that kind of guy, and is a try hard on defense. He doesn't take plays off. Coby White is very physical. Like, his endurance is really strong, man. So when you're taking all of that and you looking around on your team like, okay, well, what else of this do I have? I don't really have that. As I mentioned, Josh Giddey is absolutely, for me, the most important player for the Bulls offense, but the Bulls got 1,000 point guards too. So if something happens, God forbid, to Josh Giddey and he, has to take some games off, the offense can still keep running and it can still be okay. Coby White, God forbid, taking some games off, you're going to feel that, because you're taking the most important thing, as Bill Russell told us, the most important thing in basketball is buckets, is getting buckets. If Coby White is getting buckets, your team is going to have a chance to win a basketball game. When they played against the Miami Heat in the play-in, the first thing the Miami Heat did was say, Coby White, no, absolutely not. We will take that away. Josh Giddey, okay, we'll see how you roll. We'll see what you do. We'll give you a little flow. But Davion Mitchell, your assignment will be Coby White. We must take him away. He is number one on the whiteboard on the other team as far as who they have to take away and who they have to get rid of. So if that dude ascends in a final year of his contract and becomes that kind of all-star, and I'm not talking about a small ascension, like, I'm not just talking about, just sticking my head over the line, okay, I'm sliding into the all-star game. No, I'm talking about an ascension, and you're right. We're asking a lot of these players, when we're saying these things. But that's what I'm talking about with Coby White. If he comes into that kind of player, that answers a million questions for the Bulls as far as how they feel about their future and how they feel about Coby White going forward.
But I think kind of my point is that, like, yes, you have to score points if you want to win
Buckets.
in the NBA. And I am not minimizing that. But also, like, we've seen the Bulls have guys like that. I mean, Zach LaVine was there for 7 years. They had one playoff series.
Correct.
And it wasn't until he was actually the second best player on the team.
Who was a bucket getter. Another bucket
that
getter.
allowed them to even get to the first round of the playoffs.
Yeah.
So, like, to me, I don't know. Part of me feels like somebody's going to score. Like, you're either generating points through your system or, you know, the Bulls had, like, Wayne Selden and Walter Lemon Jr. and, like, Jakar Sampson scoring points because somebody's got to score.
Yes.
So part of me feels that way. And obviously, like, doing it efficiently at the highest level is one thing. And just guys filling in is another. But I just don't know if we live in that same world where those guys are the priority. And that's kind of the point I'm trying to make, is that you just have to be at such a high level in order to warrant that. And even like the Suns, like, they had a stretch where they had the right pieces and Booker was the guy, but it was like, you know, a lot of that was putting Chris Paul in there and like Mikal Bridges turning into a really good player and Cam Johnson and DeAndre Ayton playing defense for the only time in his life.
Yes.
Like, it just it requires the perfect set of circumstances around these players in order for it to work out. Sure. And like, again, I'm not saying that this is or is not the right circumstance for Coby. We saw him really thrive. We also saw him get shut down in the play-in. Like, he had a great play-in last year against the Hawks when they weren't really ready for him. But like, the Heat came prepared for the Bulls, and they put Bam Adebayo on Giddey, and he went 9 of 21 and had a solid game, but only 4 assists and 3 turnovers. And they put Davion Mitchell on Coby, and he shot 5 of 20 and had 7 turnovers. So like, these guys are they regular season guys? Or are they 82 game players? Or are they 16 game players? And like, we're not going to know that. We're also not going to be able to know that if they don't make the playoffs. But my point is, like, the Bulls have seen this movie before where they invest heavily into scoring guards. And again, I'm not saying that Kobe's not worth it. I'm just saying the way that the NBA is trending, it's hard to justify that. And so if the options are give Coby a max contract or let him walk or trade him, like, you just have to know what you're signing up for. And like, I'm not prepared to make that decision right now or say what's right or what's wrong.
Sure.
Because we haven't seen it yet. And that's why this season is important. But those are the decisions the Bulls are going to have to be faced with. Yeah. And that's what they have to be evaluating for. And like, honestly, I mean, these guys, like, they just have to be that good. Because I think you brought up a good point, which is like, it sounds like we're asking a lot from them. It's like, no, you're asking this team to be good enough to make the playoffs. They have not been good enough to be the 8th seed in the Eastern Conference, in the JV Conference. Like, they haven't. This is not like some incredible tall task. Yeah. So as well as they played, they have not been good enough to make the playoffs. Like, the bar has been moved. Yeah. The goalpost has been moved. So they just need to be that good.
Let me say, because we still got to get to Matas here, but just my final thought on this. Your last 2 play-in games, Coby White taking out the game, you lost. Coby White getting shut down in the game, then the next year, you lost. Like, he is vitally important to me, like, on this team as far as his growth is concerned. We'll see.
I don't want to derail the show, but there's something we have to get in.
Okay.
Nick P put his money where his mouth is, and I want to make sure we shout him out for that. A $250 donation to Big Brothers Big Sisters of America. So
now
shout out Nick P. Between now and Friday, Big Dave cannot mention Josh Giddey's contract. So
I will not mention the contract.
The one caveat being if he signs his contract that
day.
If
he signs
we're going to have to. If he signs it, we have to talk about it. But no speculation, basically, from Big Dave. Will can say whatever he wants.
Oh, yeah. Can go crazy. But thank you very much.
Or we just do a show where you stay silent and I rant for an entire hour.
That's a jam.
No,
I love listening to you, bro. I love listening to you. Matas Buzelis, man. Let's get into him real quick. Him taking that big step in year 2 is definitely going to be important. Let's take a look at his stats and what he did as a starter for the Chicago Bulls as opposed to a reserve. That you see those numbers. As a reserve, the 5 points, the 2 rebounds, 42% from the field, and that was in 49 games. When Billy put him in as the starter, it paid dividends. The points went up, rebounds went up, everything went up. But most importantly for me, the field goal percentage went up. He was 47, 35, and 80 as a starter. And I like the fact he did it on 3.8 attempts a game. So he was trying to chuck shots, you know what I'm saying, up there. So I appreciate that. But how do you feel about Matas, Will, about his growth and what he needs to ascend to in year 2 for the Bulls to be that kind of team we're talking about?
Yeah, I mean, another obviously core piece for the Bulls and their future. I've kind of touched on this before, but like I think year 2 is going to be tough for him. I think it just is for a lot of players where growth is not always linear. You have a breakout in a portion of a season where teams aren't really ready for you. You're not in the scouting report, where you're going through a hot shooting stretch, and like none of those things are knocks on a guy. He like did well and he performed. But I think teams adjust. And so then the question is like, how do you adjust to that adjustment? And we saw that with Ayo in year 2 kind of struggle a little bit. And so, and Billy's talked a lot about that with Ayo and with Coby even. So I think that's going to be, it's going to be a tough season for Matas where he's going to be, thrown into a bigger role from the get-go. What I do love is that with more opportunity, his efficiency also went up. And I think that's going to be a key for him is like taking advantage of the opportunities in front of you. And another player where I think Giddey can really help him create easy shots, get to his spots a little bit more easily, get a couple of easy baskets in transition, maybe a backdoor lob or something like that. All of a sudden you have like 4 or 6 or 8 points, at halftime, and you're just feeling good. And now maybe the 3-point shot starts to fall a little bit more, or you feel a bit more comfortable driving and attacking a closeout, and now you're getting to the foul line. And that can just really open up the game for young players where they just don't have to think through everything. And so I think for Matas, it's just going to be about not like you want to see him get better every day, but is he growing every day and learning how to adjust to the league around him as the league starts to figure him out. I do think he's obviously a very critical piece for the Bulls' future. I don't think he is the most critical piece for them next year because I'm not putting that on him for next year. I do think I do think like it is that important for Giddey and Coby, who are obviously veterans at this point, like second and into their second contracts. Those guys are the ones that are going to have to, like, you do need to improve. And obviously you want to see improvement from Matas. And I do expect that to shine through at certain points in the season. But I'm not saying like Matas is going to be an all-star this year. Like I'm just not going there because I don't think that's productive. I don't think that's a productive way to think about his growth for next year.
I'm not going to say I'm putting all-star on him, but I am absolutely putting stuff on him, though. I am absolutely doing it. And the reason I'm doing it is because he wants it. That's the only reason I'm doing it, is because he's asking for more. He's begging for more. He wants the responsibility from everything we've heard and everything we've seen from Matas Buzelis. You can't come out and consistently say, I want to be the best player, not only in the league, but the best player ever. You can't consistently say those things and me not put, expectations upon those, huge shoulders that he's got. So that's why I'm going to put some of that on him for sure. I'm not saying all-star or he's going to turn into Pascal Siakam, in year 2. Be awesome. That would be amazing. But I'm not going to say that. But I absolutely want to see and need to see some growth from Matas Buzelis for this year 2. Just give me I need some consistent games, whether it's him just consistently having a stretch where he's, 15 to 18 points and 8 or 9 rebounds, and, a few assists and, a nasty dunk or something like that, whether he has a more peak games than he had this season as a rookie, where he has more moments than he had as a rookie. I want all of that. I still want him at All-Star Weekend for sure, but if he gets there as an All-Star, then, we're doing a different celebration on this show. But if he's just getting there as far as dunk contest, I'm great with that. If he's getting there as skills competition, cool, I'm with that as well. However it's possible, I need to see more from my man Matas Buzelis simply because he's demanding it for himself. And that's the reason I put that on his shoulders there, sir. Quickly, before we get out of here, anybody else? We put Dalen getting better, Julian Phillips growing, Patrick Williams doing something. Like, what do you feel? Anything else?
Yeah, I mean, all these guys need to, like, step up and get better. Arturas talked about, like, having 9 guys or whatever it was under the age of 25 or younger. Like, all these guys need to improve. They all need to get better. Otherwise, the young core that they're building is not working. So, like, that's the point of having a young core is, like, the untapped potential. And I do think you obviously want to see growth from all those guys, Matas included. I'm not saying that I don't expect growth from him, but I think you just need to sort of add some context to
Sure.
what that specifically means. So, yeah, for all these guys, I think there's a ton of room for growth, and I think the more you've been in the league, the more we should put on you and expect from you. But I also think that that's when you have to start thinking about, like, okay, is this who this guy is? And we've done this for years with Patrick Williams. Like, you know, is this just who he is, or is there still more to grow? Is there still more untapped? And it was like, well, no, this is just who he is, because the numbers have been the same, the role has been the same, the opportunity has been the same, and there still hasn't been more. And so I think all these guys need to continue to get better, but like that's the whole goal of this team. It's like you don't want to see it from, you know, Vooch having another all-star caliber season and Kevin Huerter shooting, you know, 14 threes a game and shooting 45%. Like that doesn't tell you anything about your future. And so really it's all the young guys. They have to get better. They have to improve. And whether it's becoming actual, you know, star in their roles or all-star or whatever, or you just seeing the signs of growth that might lead you to believe there is more there in the future. Like that's what I'm looking for.
That's a great way to put it. I would put Trey Jones in that category of young guys, you know, who I'm looking at.
Yeah, they just committed to
growth. Exactly. He just signed this 3-year deal. So his commitment is bigger right now than Red Velvet's or Zach Collins. So they're important. I'm not saying they're not, but as far as, you know, the unknowns that I want to see proven, I know who Kevin Huerter is. I know who Zach Collins is. I have a pretty good – I know who Jalen Smith is. Like, I know who those guys are. But Dalen, I still don't completely know. Julian Phillips, I still don't completely know. I mentioned Trey Jones. I still don't completely know. The other one we didn't mention was Ayo Dosunmu. I feel like he's got definitely some unknown for sure, because coming off of the shoulder surgery, we want to make sure that he's good to go. And that's the only unknown for me. It's not about his game. We know who Ayo is on the floor. You can set your watch to it. You know, he just keeps adding stuff to his game to get better. But we just want to make sure that shoulder is great, because he, man, was playing through the season with 65 shoulder fractures and finally got the surgery and got straight. So that's an unknown for me. But I think that one will be proven, you know, pretty easily and pretty soon. So that's a great thing. Before we get out of here, just want to quickly mention we're going to do this tomorrow, but
we went a little long today.
Yeah, and rightfully so. But just want to acknowledge this players box that we're going to put together. Katie came up with this idea because she was out flexing at the U.S. Open, and she had the idea and asked the question, what Bulls players, current, you know what I'm saying, or past, would you have in your players box? You only allow 5 players, current or 5 or from the past. You can combine them, mix them up as you want. How many do you put in your box? So what's in the box? That's what we're going to figure out. What's in the box? And we're going to dive into it tomorrow more and have some fun with y'all for sure. And we appreciate all of you all hanging out with us, man. Please, please, please hit that like button. Thank you for the donation, Nick. I promise you I will not mention that contract, sir, unless they sign them. I got you, bro. I won't do it. But thank you for that wonderful, wonderful donation that you made to the big brothers and big sisters of America. If you all would like to donate, you can see it right there. Click it, donate, give your money, or if you want to give your time, bbbs.org/allcity. Go there, find out what you can do to become a big brother or big sister. It's an amazing, amazing thing.
And shout out to Jeremy Foster for joining us today.
Yes, man.
And
big
telling
shout
us a
out
little
to
bit more
Jeremy
about it.
Foster, who said my voice is incredible and amazing and buttery smooth. It was the words that he said. So just play that back a few times for yourself and understand that he is right. Thank y'all for joining us. Jeremy Foster, Will the Go Gottlieb. Make sure you follow him and that thumb at Will_Gottlieb on the ones and twos. That is Katie Duffy, ladies and gentlemen. I am Big Dave. We will see y'all tomorrow. Be blessed. Be cool. Peace.
We all silly like the mayor.